Stories of an aircraft builder. Another nicely made article from the late summer of 2008 about my work. Sometimes it's like being bewitched. You talk to the reporters and only manage to get half of it across. Everyone who has been written about knows this. Here, too, some mistakes have crept into a public presentation, albeit small ones. Nothing dramatic, so I won't put it right. But if you notice it, you can smile about it. If you don't notice it, you don't need to be interested. It was published in Schorndorfer newspaper. News Review Extra. The Fokker Workshop of Achim Engels. Number 221, Saturday, September 20th, 2008. There are many tinkerers and handymen in our land of Daimlers and Heinkels, but it takes obsession to have made it this far with 35 years and two very skillful right hands. Achim Engels supplies Americans, South Africans and New Zealanders with fighter planes from the First World War from his backyard workshop. Original, built with the means and methods of the time, and still capable of flying. Engels, a sky striker with hard-earned, high-flying skills. Carved from only the best wood. How Achim Engels knew at the age of 12 that he was going to do this and nothing else, recreating original fighter planes. By our editorial team member Jörg Nolle. Schorndorf. Remstraße is off the beaten track in Schorndorf. You have to actively seek out the Engelswerke. View into the large hall through the half-open sliding door. You don't want to believe it. Close your eyes and see the Red Baron von Richthofen shooting towards you in his Fokker triplane. That's how real the machines look that are standing there. Half finished, or only as a tubular frame. Wings on trestles in long rows. On the walls are the original Fokker factory plans. The master builder is initially dismissive, pretends that a man is only doing what a man has to do. I'll build one too. The museum visit. Achim is 12 when his father takes him to the Deutsches Museum at Munich. At the time, his father was building model ships and little Achim was interested in the plastic models of the aviation world. And even back then, the little man wanted everything to be exact. My father never denied me this love of detail, says the 35-year-old today with a slight grin. A Richthofen machine dangles from the ceiling in Munich. The 12-year-old has his awakening experience. I'll build one of those one day. The father reacts the way fathers react. He pats his son's head. Yes, yes. Let him talk. And the boy said to himself, now more than ever. The father, after all, never stopped me. There was soon a reason for this. At first the talented boy wanted to build a 1/6 scale replica of the Fokker DO1, the famous triplane of the Red Baron. In the middle of the shell he said to himself that building it 6 times bigger couldn't be much more difficult. But where would the money come from? And so the writing began. Letters in clumsy English to aviation museums all over Europe. Over the years he wrote to everyone who knew or had anything to do with Fokker and the old parts. It has also helped him in other ways. I didn't get my relatively good knowledge of English from school. Today he can say that he owns the world's largest collection of Fokker drawings, photos and descriptions. The Technik Museum in Sinsheim got in touch at the time. The then 15-year-old sat with his father in front of 8 important people. They saw that the boy could handle drawings. They promised 5,000 German marks for the first stage of construction. Back out of the building, the father spoke threateningly. You started this. You're going through with it now. Inspectors came. In the end, the precocious self-made man had spent 37,000 German marks. And there wasn't 1 mark of wages in it. As a self-learning system, he got himself into 24 trades, from steel fabricators to carpenters and furriers. If I don't know something, I get old books, read them, and try it out. His partner, Alexandra Lansky, who has long been infected and builds scooter airplanes for children, puts it this way: he's only satisfied when it's perfect. And it sounds like a woman must really like to get along with such an obsessive man. Fetish detail. Only the originals comes into question. It's not as if something is built just so that the plane looks and flies good afterwards. Engels is also a fetishist, among the obsessives, a detail fetishist, an originality freak. It starts with getting the material from the 1910 era in the first place. Of course there are freaks in the world, including militaria fetishists, who collect everything, so Engels procured straps of upholstery or fabric from the airplanes of the First World War, just to have the cotton cloth woven. The same applies to the rubber wheels. The natural rubber back then had no soot content, so it was not black. There are replicas on the internet from other manufacturers showing black tires, an absurdity for the genre of replica builder. Achim Engels is also upset that some vintage airplane enthusiasts install Siemens radial engines with 145 horsepower in a DR1 when the original had a 110 horsepower engine. If a customer insists on such a unit, he has to install it himself. He can afford this high horse. He is fully booked for the rest of his life. He spends 2 years working on a fighter plane. His customers come from neighboring countries, from overseas. There are no Germans amongst them. For one simple reason: the Federal Aviation Office is the strictest of all. World War veterans are subject to such conditions that they can only take to the air during air shows. This includes a special permit and proof of suitable ground personnel. A second look into the workshop after the first glare. There are further optical illusions. You think you are looking into the realm of a giant who creates model airplanes. In any case, whole generations of boys have cut and glued rib to rib, spar to spar in this way. Only here everything is life-size and real. Engels glues with the casein glue of the past, and to prevent it from softening when wet, a textile strip has to be glued over each glue joint. And to ensure that the aviation authorities are satisfied, each assembly is given a number, as is each glue cup. It couldn't be cheaper or easier, and Engels wants it that way. First aspect, safety. Second aspect, it has to look clean. He tells his customers who pushes him, "Guys, you can have it quickly, or you can have it good. Both at the same time is not possible." Birch plywood is fixed centimeter by centimeter with tiny brass nails. With every nail I hammer in, I am aware that it could be the nail in the pilot's coffin. The castle in the air. Dream of the Fokker Museum. Engels can carry on like this. He is booked up for decades. But the man, who is also a pilot and thus a sky stormer, wants to aim higher. He has a world-unique flying museum in mind, as it says in a written report for the city of Schwerin. Engels, and that really sounds too gigantic for one man now, wants to revive the original Fokker works, the production halls, the airfield, half an aviation city. Suddenly Schwerin would be the center of veneration, of bowing to the ingenious designers of the First World War aircraft. Why does it have to be military equipment for him? His answer is disarming. The best techniques and materials are invented when people want to smash someone else's skull in. He regrets it, but it is true. Moneyman wanted. How things can continue. The city of Schwerin has expressed interest, serious interest, but it has no money. If a man turns into Engels' premises tomorrow with a suitcase full of money, the gendarme will start his castle in the air, the flying museum. With his persistence, it's not such a pipe dream at all. Engels knows what he's talking about in many ways. He flies himself. Not a World War I plane for the reasons mentioned above, but a somewhat younger vintage plane, an Aermacchi MB308 from Italy, built in 1946. It's at the Aalen-Elchingen airfield. That's where the Schorndorfer glider pilots also have their base for takeoff. Engels has all the necessary papers, including aerobatic certifications. He writes books on the subject, which he publishes himself, and together with friends, he publishes documentation and educational CDs. True to his motto that he has only really understood something when he can turn it into a book. And even this man still has dreams. He has his sights set on the Second World War fighter legend Messerschmitt Bf 109, but he has to admit the reality that he will probably fail with this bird. The spar bridge of a 109, for example, is made of special steel. It's not good enough for someone to be made of the best stuff, man or aircraft.